You're out with a friend, just walking around, killing time, and you pass a boba shop. A new one, just opened. Bright lights, big menu. You're curious, so you head in and order the jasmine pearl milk tea. As you're paying, your friend glances at you and goes, "Yo, bro, aren't you lactose intolerant?" You pause. You think about it for a second. Then you shrug. Nah, it'll probably be fine. It will not be fine. You get your drink, it's delicious. You're sipping away, happy, not a care in the world. 30 minutes later, you're walking through the mall, and that's when you feel it. A low rumble. Your stomach starts to turn. That deep, twisting, oh no feeling spreading through your gut. Dude, you say, I gotta go. And you speed walk, then full on sprint toward the mall bathrooms. And there you are, sitting in agony, regretting every decision that led to this moment, and you find yourself asking the big questions. Why do I have to be lactose intolerant? Why has mankind evolved so that only a chosen few are blessed with the power to drink milk? Funny you should ask. Because the answer is genuinely one of the strangest stories in human evolution, and it's the complete opposite of what you'd think. So, were ancient humans lactose intolerant? Yes, all of them. Every single one. You, sitting on that toilet, are actually the normal one. The friend sipping their milk tea just fine, that person is the genetic freak. And the reason why says something deeply strange about your own body. Let's start with the part that trips everyone up. We tend to think of lactose intolerance as a problem, something that's gone wrong with a person. Their body can't handle milk. But that's backwards. Lactose intolerance isn't the disorder. It's the factory setting. Every mammal on the planet drinks milk as a baby. That's the whole point of being a mammal. And every mammal makes an enzyme called lactase, which breaks down the sugar in milk so the body can digest it. But here's the catch. Almost every mammal switches that enzyme off after weaning. Once a kitten or a puppy or a lion cub or a baby elephant is done nursing, the body stops making lactase permanently, because why keep producing an enzyme for milk when you're never going to drink milk again? Adult mammals don't drink milk. That's just not a thing that happens in nature. So the body shuts the system down to save energy. A grown lion is technically lactose intolerant. So is a grown cow, which is a little funny when you think about it. And for most of history, humans were exactly the same. You drank your mother's milk as a baby, the lactase switched off as you grew up, and that was that. The intolerance wasn't a malfunction. It was the normal, default, every mammal on Earth condition. So that raises an obvious question. If no adult could digest milk, why did anyone start drinking it in the first place? This is where it gets strange, because they didn't wait until they could digest it. They started way before that. Around 10,000 years ago, humans began domesticating animals: cows, goats, sheep, and we know from milk fat residue found burned into ancient pottery that people were using the milk of those animals almost immediately. Not thousands of years later, right away. In Europe, people were consuming milk as early as 6,500 BCE. And it wasn't just Europe. In northeastern Africa, scientists found dairy proteins trapped in the hardened plaque on ancient human teeth, proving people there were drinking milk at least 6,000 years ago, right as herding spread into the region and long before anyone there could genetically digest it. Everywhere herding appeared, milk drinking followed almost instantly. Intolerance be damned, but the ability to digest milk as an adult? That didn't become common until after the Bronze Age, roughly 5,000 to 4,000 years ago. Do the math on that. There's a gap of about 3,000 years where humans were drinking milk and could not actually process it. 3,000 years of people consuming something that, by the rules of their own biology, should have made them feel terrible. So, how on earth did they manage it? Two reasons. And the first one is clever. They didn't drink the milk straight, they turned it into cheese and yogurt. And it turns out that fermenting milk, letting bacteria go to work on it, eats up a huge chunk of the lactose. The bacteria digest the sugar before you ever do. So cheese and yogurt have far less lactose than fresh milk, which means a completely lactose intolerant adult can eat them without much trouble at all. Ancient humans figured out, without knowing a single thing about enzymes or bacteria, how to process milk into a form their bodies could actually handle. They solved a biological problem with a cooking technique, thousands of years before anyone understood the problem existed. And we know this trick was powerful enough that some cultures never needed to evolve at all. Look at Central Asia. For thousands of years, the herders of the steppe have lived off their animals. Their entire diet leans heavily on dairy. You'd assume, of all people, they'd have evolved milk tolerance. They didn't. To this day, most Central Asian herders are lactose intolerant. They just ferment everything. They turn milk into yogurt, into cheese, into fermented drinks, and their bodies handle it fine. They prove the point perfectly. You don't need the gene if you have the recipe, which makes the question of why Europeans did evolve the gene even stranger. And the second reason is almost funny. Lactose intolerance just isn't as dramatic as people think. The symptoms get blown way out of proportion. Yes, too much lactose can cause bloating, gas, and an unpleasant afternoon, but a little bit, most people are fine. In fact, even today, more than 90% of people who can't properly process lactose still drink cow's milk anyway. It turns out you can be lactose intolerant and still enjoy a glass of milk. You might just pay a small price later. Ancient humans clearly decided the calories were worth it, so that's how they coped. But it leaves the biggest question of all. If they were getting by just fine with cheese and yogurt, why did humans ever evolve to digest milk in the first place? And this is the part that genuinely surprised scientists. Because the obvious answer, they drank a lot of milk, so they adapted to milk, turns out to be wrong. Researchers lined up the ancient evidence, the maps of where people were drinking milk, the genetic record of when the tolerance mutation appeared, and the population data showing who lived and who died. And the milk drinking didn't match up with the evolution. People drank milk for thousands of years without any real pressure to evolve the ability to digest it. As one of the lead scientists put it, milk use alone doesn't explain anything. The rug got pulled out from under nearly every theory they had. So what was the trigger? Famine and disease. Here's the idea. Most of the time, being lactose intolerant was no big deal. You ate your cheese, you drank a little milk, you were fine. But during a famine, when the crops failed and people were starving, everything changed. When you're desperate and out of food, you stop being picky. You drink whatever you can get, including fresh milk in large amounts. And for a lactose-intolerant person, drinking a lot of fresh milk causes severe diarrhea, which, when you're already starving and weak, can kill you. So during those famines, the people who happened to carry the rare mutation, the one that kept their lactase switched on into adulthood, had a real edge. They could drink milk by the gallon and absorb every calorie without getting sick. They survived. The intolerant ones in those exact desperate moments were more likely to die. It wasn't about enjoying milk, it was about surviving the worst possible day. The mutation didn't spread because milk was nice to have. It spread because when everything else was gone, the ability to drink milk safely was the difference between living and starving. So the timeline isn't what you'd expect. It's not humans couldn't drink milk, then evolved to, then started drinking it. It's the reverse. We started drinking milk first while it actively made us sick and got away with it for thousands of years using cheese and clever tricks. And only later, forced by starvation and death, did our bodies finally catch up to a habit we'd already had for millennia. Which brings it back to you. Sitting in that mall bathroom, questioning your life choices. Here's the thing. You're not broken. You're not defective. You are, in fact, the original model. The way humans were built for almost our entire existence. That twisting feeling in your gut right now is the default human condition, shared by your ancestors going back hundreds of thousands of years and still shared by most adults alive on Earth today. Your friend out there, sipping their milk tea without a care, they're the strange one. They're carrying a recent hard-won mutation written into their DNA by ancestors who survived famines that killed the people standing next to them. They're not normal. They're the exception. They just got lucky enough to never find out what a mall bathroom feels like after a boba. So no, you weren't cursed. You're just human, the way humans have almost always been. The milk tea was the mistake. Maybe next time, listen to your friend.